research this before moving to New Zealand.
Number one, when you are in New Zealand, don't compare it to Australia. Don't say, oh, I love this or this is like the same thing. Don't do that. While they are close as siblings, they also are rivals like siblings. So don't compare them too much together. Okay, and number two, don't forget to offer guests tea when they come to your house. This can be an adjustment for a lot of Americans, especially that don't drink tea, where coffee is more of like the common thing that you can offer coffee as well. But tea, always have tea. Don't be stuck without tea in your house, and offer it when people come over to visit. Number three, don't drive over the speed limit. Let me tell you, I have learned that lesson the hard way. Basically in the US, it's normal to drive 10 miles per hour over the speed limit. In New Zealand, the speed limit means the speed limit. Don't speed. There's cameras everywhere, and you will get a nice ticket in the mail if you speed. It's very passive aggressive. They don't necessarily like pull you over. You just get a ticket in the mail. So that's my tip to you. If you're moving here, if you're visiting here, don't speed. Number four, very important one. Do not disrespect Maori culture. It's everywhere in New Zealand. It's valued in New Zealand. They speak te reo in New Zealand, and they respect Maori culture, which is really, really a wonderful thing here, and very different than how we treat our indigenous people in the US. So just know, if you are coming here, to definitely respect Maori culture and find out as much as you can about it and explore it. And it's so awesome, and it adds so much to this country. And in fact, the values of a Maori culture is just amazing, and is really what makes New Zealand what it is today. Number five, don't enter New Zealand with dirty shoes, or really anything dirty in your luggage. You have to go through biosecurity when you enter New Zealand, and you don't want to bring in any dirt. They're very particular about this because they don't want to bring in anything bad into their country. And that is really what makes New Zealand so stunning and so beautiful. And it doesn't have horrible, awful things in this country because of their biosecurity system. When you go through immigration, when you get off an international flight into New Zealand, don't have dirt on your items. And number six, this is a good one. You're gonna need to know this, okay? Shopping is not open. Malls, stores, whatever is not open generally after 6 p.m. So a lot of you will be coming from countries where you can shop any time of the day, open 24 hours. Not in New Zealand. Stores close 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, on the weekends a little bit later, but generally don't expect them to be open past 6 o'clock. So that can be very frustrating if you need to go get something and it's not open. Now in New Zealand, they have Thursday night is the night that everybody stays open late. So if you want to plan your shopping, plan to go on a Thursday night. In addition to the shopping, don't expect restaurants to be open until 5:30 at the earliest. And in addition to that, don't expect cafes to stay open past 3 p.m. So if you are traveling around New Zealand and it's between 3 p.m. and 5:30, good luck finding a place to eat, okay? It's weird when you're used to everything being open all the time to everything's not open all of the time. And if you're just kind of stuck in those weird hours, you can find an American restaurant that'll be open, McDonald's, Burger King, Subway. Those restaurants will be open for you, but not most places in New Zealand. Now, in addition to restaurants not being open, don't expect chain restaurants. There are not a lot, if any, well, there's a little bit of chain restaurants in New Zealand at all. So every town and every city that you visit are new restaurants, new types of restaurants, new things to try. So you will always have a fish and chip shop. You will always have like an Indian restaurant. And you know, there are always generally American restaurants, American fast food, let me say. But there isn't, you know, a consistent brand across the country. Franchising really isn't a thing here. And so that can be a little bit frustrating when you just want to go and know that something's good. You're not going to know that. You're going to have to try a new place. And that could be very stressful when you come from a country that you're used to chains to now I don't even know what's good here. So there's these 4 different Indian restaurants and I have no idea which one to choose. So Google review is good to check, but just go ahead and try it and be okay if it's not that good. Another good thing to note is don't expect to tip. There's no tipping in New Zealand. In a restaurant with a service like somebody picking up your bags or hairdresser or any places that you normally tip, you don't tip. The price is the price. So while you may sit down in a restaurant and think, oh, this is expensive, well, keep in mind, there's also no tipping. So no tipping when you're in New Zealand. Number 10, no crowds, okay? There are not a lot of people here and it's amazing. And so just expect to be around no crowds quite often when you're in New Zealand, and it's really great. So if you get to a beach and it's packed with people, go to the next beach. There won't be anybody. It is not uncommon that you can walk along a beach with nobody on it. It's amazing here. I know there's a lot of parts of the world where there's no way to avoid crowds, and that's what makes New Zealand so special, so don't expect crowds. And the last little tip that I want to leave you with is when you go and you get off of the plane and you're in the airport and you go up saying, I'm gonna need a coffee, and you order your coffee and that barista says to you, sweet as, I'll get that for you. They're saying sweet as, 1S. I hope you enjoyed my video this week and I will see you next week. So subscribe below if you want to hear